Alright guys, so what's up? Today we're here to break down the Sentinels versus Loud game where Loud Static was playing Deadlock on Lotus. Put a vote out there and this was the top vote. You guys really wanted to see a VCT breakdown. So we're just going to be going through this. We're going to be looking at, we're not going to be looking at the entire video. We're just going to be looking at the major parts. We're going to be seeing how Deadlock could be seen more in pro play, but we're also going to be taking a look at what we can take into art rank games. Because obviously how he's playing Deadlock isn't how we're all going to be playing our playing in our rank games. Obviously he's not doing any wall boosts or anything like that because it's probably not tournament legal. With all that, let's go ahead and get into it. So one thing you're going to notice is that though Static is their only like Sentinel, he gets, I did watch this kind of main all the way through. He plays very aggressively, and that's one thing that people got to realize is Deadlock is that you kind of have to change your thought process, because a lot of people when they play Deadlock, they try to play Deadlock like every other Sentinel, like Cypher and KJ and Chamber. They try to play her like that, and that's not how you do it. Just like how we have Sova and Fade, and then we have like Breach and KO. They're completely different characters, but they're in the same role. You have to play them differently, and how their kit interacts with their teammates is completely different. Sage and Deadlock, in my opinion, are much more aggressive. You're not really playing for info. You're kind of using your utility to stall and stop in win engagements rather than stall and get info and waste utility. That's what like Cypher and KJ are for, because they're focused, you know, the enemy team is focused on breaking their utility, using shock darts, using Raze nade, you know, shooting out the utility. With Deadlock wall and Deadlock stun and the net you can't stop it from hitting you, so it's down to the Deadlock on trying to hit as many people as she can. The wall takes forever to break and you can't use utility to break it, and the stuns, yes, you can use utility, so it does kind of fall in that. That's why I say Deadlock's kind of like a Gecko or a Sky. She kind of fits into, like, she's not even like Sage, because Sage's entire kit is reactive. You have to react to heal your teammates, throw your slow orbs down in time, put your barrier mesh down in time, and also you have to know when rezzing is going to be good or not. But if you look at Deadlock, she has a little bit of both, where she has, you know, she has her stuns that will go off on their own so long as someone runs through them. She has to time her net well. You don't really have to time the wall that well because it can be thrown from a really safe spot. And then her ult is pretty easy to hit for the most part. It's also really easy to miss. But again, when you are first learning Deadlock and you're wanting to play Deadlock, or if you have hundreds of games on her, you have to keep your mindset on that Deadlock is her own character, and I cannot play her like she is Cypher or KJ.
Sure, the retake all funnels through one direction.
And so you just heard the announcers talk about how Static likes to, like, he gets up really close and then he throws the wall into like stairs or something, and then that's like that's kind of basic 101 with Deadlock. You're going to want to put your wall in, if you are playing Deadlock on a basic level, not trying to do wall boost or anything, you're going to want to put your wall in somewhere like stairs up in here, because then when for example, if we were still over here, when Omen and Fade eventually come over, they're going to have to go through heaven, or they're going to have to break the wall, revealing that they are coming through stairs. Some people are going to take that advice and be like, that's obvious, but a lot of people don't realize this, and they'll throw the wall in like weird spots, or they'll hold on to it for too long. If you're still learning Deadlock, I would just throw your wall in the basic spots. Like on this map, it would be C-Link, both ways, as in one, if you're going C, you're throwing it in waterfall. If you're going B, you're throwing it in the entry to C-Link. And if you're going A, you're throwing it in stairs. Don't throw it anywhere else. Don't get any crazy with it until you understand what you're doing and how to play Deadlock. Then you can start going for, like, there isn't many wall boosts to do on this map, but I like to walk through tree and then throw my wall up into heaven, because I think when they come through stairs, it's a much easier fight to take, and also because I can put my sensors here. You can also do vice versa. You can put your sensors on the dropout of hell, and then you can also put them on the drop on the secret area, and then you can wall this area. So there's plenty of ways to do it. Don't overthink it. Best thing to think of though is your wall is going to send them into your sensors, and your sensors are going to gain more value if you put them in proper places, such as the dropout from heaven, because they have to make noise once they jump out of it. That's where her sensors shine. Okay, and we're going to see Static do a really cool wall here. He's going to come up over mound, and he's going to throw it over this wall over here, and it's going to land in waterfall. I think this is I don't know why I never thought about doing it this way. It just never clicked in my head, but this wall is so good to do, and I'm going to show you guys because I min-max everything. I like to make sure that my stuff is consistent because I don't want to throw something or do an ult that I think is going to land and then it doesn't because it just looks goofy. So I'm going to go ahead and in game and show you guys how to do it, how Static's doing it, and then I'm going to show you guys my, like, the perfect version of it where it always lands in the same spot. So I'm going to go ahead and swap over the game for that. So in game now, all Static is looking at is this wall over here. This goes straight over into waterfall. And you'll know that, you know, like KO's flash over this, Fade throws her eye over this, Gecko throws his flash over this. So I don't know why I never thought about this. All you're going to do in the Static way of doing it is literally just that. That's all you're going to do. It's going to land. There's nothing wrong with doing it this way, but my main problem is that if you happen to just do it wrong, just a little bit wrong, you can go underneath it. I just really don't like that this is the way it goes. You'll see that Static ends up actually being like cautious of it. He's sitting up here, and I think he sits here or he sits back here, and he is watching the wall while his teammates are holding his CT. So you'll notice that he sees that the wall is really high. So the way that I like to do it, and before anybody points this out, I know that you are exposed to main. The way that I think about this is that there's going to be a smoke here. You're going to have teammates with you, and usually no one is just straight up holding this. Unless you are popping the door, no one is usually straight up just holding this. If you feel that if you do notice that someone is holding it, whether Jet had an op and you pushed her off the angle, now you're pushing the site, or there's no smoke or anything like that, go for the way that Static does it, or just save your wall for when you get in sight. But if you have a smoke, or you're confident, or you just know that no one's holding it, what you're going to do is you're going to come up to the box, and you're going to see this piece of the building poking out. You're going to line it up with the box. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. This is just kind of getting in like a basic position. And once it's lined up, again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to be looking at this, the roof right here. And you're going to be looking at the bottom part of it, and then just going out to the left a little bit. And then you're just going to jump through.
Blocking movement.
And this goes over. And this makes it to where it's impossible to... You may be able to glitch your way on this side, but from the side that the defenders are coming from, it is impossible to get underneath. And it lands roughly in this area every single time. This is how I'm going to be throwing it. Again, I'm probably also going to throw it the way that Static does it. There's nothing wrong with doing either. This is just my preferred way of doing it. So I just thought I'd go ahead and show you guys, but let's go ahead and move back over into the game. So yeah, as you can see, this is quite literally the same wall that I threw just a second ago. But you can see that they are able to get underneath this part right here. And you'll notice that Static is cautious of this.
You think it's going to make most of the retake come through spawn. And Loud, this is where...
So you can see that he peeks over to the left, he peeks back, and he notices that the wall is really high. So he's jumping over to double check if anybody's there. And then we're going to see a really cool moment here. So Ray's, Zekin is going to pull out a very generic nade, the nade default. And at the same time as Static hears this nade going off, he gets ready to pull his nade out to support his teammates to stop them from the enemies from flooding in.
Comes through with a nade.
So there comes the nade bouncing off the wall. Right as they all get blinded, we do get, Loud do get a little fortunate in killing the two people that are here right now by just spraying them down. But then this is right as these guys are trying to swing for them. The nade lands, gets all three of them, and you'll notice that they all try to pull it off, but then Tens decides, no, never mind, I'm gonna hold. So he's holding, they pull it, Viper jumps out. Fade tried to go for a dog, but then was like, oh, my Viper's jumping out. It's complete chaos. This is why the grab net is super good. They all don't, it's either they all risk getting swung, but then Tens was ready for it. But if like two people swung, they were not going to be able to stop it. And they definitely would have probably killed all of them. But this is how the nade needs to be used. You need to use it from like a molly. You need to stop flooding. And as they were all trying to flood in and trade their teammates, the nade landed at the perfect time and stopped all of them from doing it. And Loud will end up going on to win this round. Just perfect. It was so good. Such a good nade. The wall was great. No one ended up going that way, but they're all funneled into this direction, and he knows that his wall is good, is like, it's fine. So he knows that they have to come CT. Perfect. This is how you should be using your nades. This is how you should be using your wall.
I don't want to ignore the fact that Sadak did beef a bunch of his utility last time we saw them play.
So we just heard the announcers bring up Sadak's last time where he played Deadlock on Lotus. This is the main problem of why I don't like seeing Deadlock in pro so far, is that she's getting a bad rep. Yes, you have to be careful of your utility. She's just like a lot of other agents. She's a harder agent to play. This is a hill I will die on. It's not just because I play this character. She's hard. She's different. She's unique. It's why people don't like playing her. Same thing with Yoru, Neon, Breach, so on and so on. They all have weird kits that are very different, but when you put them together and you do them well, they can be very strong. And it's a good balance, like with Neon. That's why when you see a Neon main, you're like, dude, I would never want to play against him. But if you see a Neon in your normal rank games, you're gonna be like, this is the worst player I've ever played against, probably because he has 5 Neon games. He doesn't know what he's doing. But if you go against Shiro or, you know, literally anybody else, you're gonna be screwed. So again, I do think Deadlock is the easiest of the hard characters, but I still think she's hard. You have to be careful with your wall. You have to be careful with your grab net. You need to make sure that your stuns, you have to make sure that when you have your stun, that you're babysitting your teammates. I know it sounds crazy. I've had so many times that I've had to literally pull my stun away because my teammate will just play inside of it. And it happens in this, right? It happens in this pro play game too. For some reason, your teammates are just not conscious of the wong wong noise that plays the entire time you're standing in it. But anyway, let's go and move back into the game.
In teams' defenses. This is the wall that they do when they go for their A exec, so this is making it feel like they're gonna end A.
So just like the announcers just said, this is something I'm going to start trying to do more. This is super cool. Sadak puts his wall down on stairs and then he starts pushing into the site. He's going to end up dying, which is unfortunate, but he does literally only have a ghost, but it sells the fake so hard that his entire team is able to rotate over to C before anybody moves on A. It's one of those pieces of utility that is just so strong that once you hear it, once you know it's there, you're like, hold on. Here, there's no way he's committing something like this. You know, like that's how, like, Sova darts. I know you can fake Sova darts, but at the same time, when a Sova dart lands, you're most of the time like, okay, someone's coming here. Or like brim smokes, because you usually don't want to waste a brim smoke. So when those land, you're like, hold on, they're committing here. Or like Phoenix ult or something like that. Something that you know that it's not normal to fake. And Deadlock wall is one of them. You usually don't want to fake your Deadlock wall, but it ends up working perfectly for them. Sadak gets all the way in. He unfortunately dies, but his entire team is able to rotate over to C, and they get in the C for free. Alright, this is another situation. This again just shows how powerful the grab net is. We're going to see Deadlock throw a grab net that I have thrown plenty of times in my ranked games. Unfortunately, it ends up being it ends up being 2 for 2, so it's kind of doesn't show how strong it is. I think it was just more of a unfortunate circumstances type of thing. But I'm going to show you how the grab net could have been even more powerful if it was just timed a little bit better.
Sentinels greasing the path.
So you see the grab net coming over here and landing right here. Now, the main part of why the grab net gets a little screwed over here is because of this Seize nade combo that's going down. But the reason why it's really good is because these two are not able to play off of the Seize nade combo. But the reason why the Seize nade combo is still good is because Deadlock and Raze here aren't able to fully swing until it's kind of gone. So
Arms of the immigration officers or something. I don't know. But here we go.
So you'll see that they were able to get the one, but then unfortunately they couldn't swing out more and get Zek in here. But it landed and it covers such a big space. Just look how big this grab net covers. Watch. It lands a little bit behind Saucy, a little bit to the right of Zekin, and it went into tree a tiny bit. If Tins were there for just a little bit longer on the switch, he would have been caught too. It would have completely disrupted their plans. Now, I am cherry picking with the Tins thing. Obviously, when we threw this nade, we were not going for the person inside a tree as well, but it just shows how big it is, and if you can optimize it to be a perfectly thrown nade, you could probably get that person in tree very frequently, along with getting the other people trying to push up. But looking at the good parts of it again, we get the kill on Saucy. Again, unfortunately, we aren't able to swing all the way out and get the kill on Zekin, but we are able to follow up with the nade, and then this is where it kind of crumbles down because Tens was able to push up. For some reason, we heard the door open, but we were just not worried about the push over to Rubble, and Tens is able to get one, and then Zekin comes out and supports, and then it goes for 2 for 2. Yeah, so unfortunately, Sentinels were able to win this engagement. Even though I am a Sentinels fan, it's just because they're playing Deadlock that I just want them to win this round. But yes, even one way or another, we can still look at how crazy this was. This nade, it was insane. Okay, so while just kind of messing around, I actually ended up finding something pretty consistent. So if you just push yourself up against this wall, again, this doesn't have to be perfect. You can use this as a lineup. You can use this dot on the lineup, but you'll see there's this, you can only really go up to the top of this bar right here. And there's just this little dot right here on the ground, more to the right rather than in the middle of the door. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So long as you're standing in the area and it looks like this, you'll notice this white square out here. You're going to be looking at the top right here, throwing it. You'll see it covers that main general area that they went for, and it also covers the inside on that switch. So again, you could throw this one if you're trying to hit more maximum area, but if you're just trying to hit for those other guys, you can just throw a net like this. And again, that wasn't perfect, but more than likely, Static has like something he's actually trying to look for, so pretty sure he actually looks at it like this. Something like that. Again, you can do whatever you want, but there's a pretty easy lineup for anybody that is trying to find something that covers a bit more area. So let's go ahead and move back onto the video.
It's going a good round for them. 2 years.
So as you can see, Static throws that really basic wall. When you're going B, don't throw any other wall. You should always be throwing this C-Link wall. It's super good. Throwing it in heaven, it's just too hard to get a good angle to where they weren't able to peek once the smoke goes down. And same goes for the breakable door, the A-Link area. You just can't get it deep enough without exposing yourself to someone that might be holding that area. So you might as well just throw the C-Link wall. It's a good wall. It blocks off any people coming from C. Anybody like this Fade going this way can't come this way. They all have to come through B heaven. So again, it's not bad to do it like this. And we'll also see Static throw sensors on the spike where he's going to be planting it, and then he'll throw one in heaven, which is my favorite sensor to do on B. You throw it on this back wall where my mouse is right now, and then you can sit in hell and you can swing off of it, or you can just go play safe and let your teammates do it. Just let them know that you have a sensor up in hell to play off of.
UCK inside.
So, and you'll see just how powerful this wall is. Between the 2 people that are trying to break the wall, he knows that there's 2 people here. So once the wall breaks, he gets his one. Obviously, that was just a free kill. Like, that wasn't because of the wall or anything. But it just shows that he was able to know that, hey, there's 2 people here, and they don't know that I'm here. And also that the wall's here. They're probably not expecting someone to be sitting right on top of the wall. They're probably expecting me to be holding something else. Especially because my teammates are in other places. So he's able to get his free kill, and then he get ults, and he knows that there's another person there, so he just shoots it through the smoke.
With that, rocket earned.
Again, I think this round just shows, again, that wall is so strong, and then if Raze died, you still have your stun, you still have your nade on top of that. It shows how good that Deadlock can be once you're in sight. It's just kind of over. Like, as long as they don't have an ult or something, and your teammates are just willing to hold that one other area that you don't have something on, it's just kind of over once you have all your utility down.
I'm just giving up this space for free as the door opens up again. It's an Anaswan.
Static through that wall and the stairs again. It just shows how powerful it is. That you should never be through. Like, I love doing fun walls. I like doing wall boosts and goofy walls, but if you want to like just climb or just become better at Deadlock, throw these basic walls because they are so good. You should just not throw anything else, to be honest.
They never need to worry about stairs.
Okay, so here's I think, where we're going to notice some fumbling of the Deadlock. So you're going to notice, we just saw that Sadok picked up a sensor in the back here. He's going to re-put that sensor down. And this is where I'm talking about, you need to let your teammates know where you're putting your sensors, or that if they are standing in your sensor, they're going to get stunned. It's going to screw them over. Fortunately, that's not the reason that QCK dies here. He ends up just dying because Zekken satchels in and kills him, but the sensor could have helped Zekken get that kill if it went off sooner. And then we're also going to see Deadlock fumble the ult, so we'll get to that part in a second. So as you can see, the sensor just went down. This is part of the reason that QCK doesn't get hit by it. It's because it literally just went down. And as Zekken flies through here, the sensor gets tripped by Zekken flying through it, but it's super delayed. So it goes off now. It actually went off from him shooting. Sorry, my bad. And you'll see that the sensor goes off and he's able to back up into the cubby. And QCK did not die because of the sensor, but the sensor totally would have hit him. Like, you can see that the end range is about right over here. It was going to hit him. That's why you gotta be careful where you're putting your sensors. And in my opinion, honestly, I wouldn't put a sensor here. I'd put it more back on this this wall right next to the middle, like, podium thing in the middle. I put it more back here because that's way easier to play off of.
Running and cutting and just not.
So, and then, as some of you might have heard, the ult just got shot off and went straight into drop. I don't really understand the thought process behind this, because more than likely, maybe QCK didn't know where he got shot from. Maybe he thought he got shot through heaven, but he probably knew that Zekken was in this area. So I feel like we're just popping the ult and shooting it just to, as like a maybe. Something that I'm trying to teach myself is that you have to be patient with the ult. Not that you have to be, but you should be. You can just fire if you feel like it. If you're confident that someone is there, go for it. Launch that shit. But if you're playing for like a lineup, or you're playing in a situation like this where they're kind of bunkered down and they're just trying to let the bomb go, pop it and act like you're playing with a Raze ult. Like how people used to play with Raze ult, they would pop it and just wait while the bomb ticked down, and then they shoot it at the very last second. Because the Raze player would typically know where the other person is, but the person that's trying to defuse doesn't know where Raze is. And that's the same situation we have here. We know that someone is for sure in heaven. There's no way that we don't know this, because the Fade Dog went towards, it was either Sadok or QCK when they were originally pushing on site. We know someone's heaven. So he should have held it and bounced it for when they dropped, or used it for post plant, or he should have bounced it off this wall and tried to hit the heaven area rather than drop. I just think shooting it and drop is such like a, usually only one person's going to go that way anyway. Why would multiple people go down into drop when that's just like a death trap, you know? So that's just my opinion on it. Okay, so here's where another really cool thing that I'm going to kind of contradict myself about. We're going to see Sadok throw this wall to re-wall off the breakable door. They're going to push into sight. But this is where I think holding your own wall is a good idea. So let me go ahead and play it, and then I'll explain it once he gets his kill.
It's assuming nobody would be towards B.
It's good access for.
So you'll notice that it seemed like Zelsis wasn't ready for that. And my working theory is that I believe Zelsis could see the wall as he was walking up and was expecting no one to be holding this. He hears door open. He hears them all stomping. I think he expects that Deadlock is either in sight with her team or is just somewhere else, you know? And I fully think that Zelsis, obviously Zelsis is a pro player. He was aware that someone could be there. He's always aware that someone can be literally anywhere. But I guarantee you he was more on the thought process of, I need to walk up, break this wall, and I'll be behind them to help my team. Because first off, why is he walking up? If he knows that someone's holding this wall, he's not gonna walk up all the way. He like, you can see that Sadok does not move at all. So as we can see Zelsis walking up. Walking up. Bam. Like he was, I just think it's not a terrible idea to hold your wall if they know the wall is there. And also they could probably hear it being placed down earlier because Tins was running away when they put the wall down. They probably heard it get placed down. So more than likely he was not expecting someone to be holding this wall. I guarantee you if you were to get like a mic'd up session, he's like, why is he holding his own wall? Like, why is he holding that? you know, guarantee it. So I'm not telling you to hold your wall all the time. I'm telling you to do it if it's going to psych them out. Okay, so we're going to talk about something a little controversial when it comes to Deadlock. And that's putting sensors on the flank. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, no, you should never do this. Never. Hear me out. First off, this sensor, now, as we can see, no one's on A. That's okay. But let's imagine for a second that everyone is playing A, which is very common in both pro and ranked, unrated, swift play. A lot of people like to rush down A. Now, clearly, we are only playing one towards A, which is Viper. So, if Viper hears a bunch of people stomping up, Viper is going to run away, making noise, and then they're going to take all of A, the enemies, they're going to take all of A, and then they're going to go, okay, well, we can push forward. And because there's multiple of them, they're not going to be afraid to run through the A main. So, this sensor is going to go off working like a normal trip. Now, yes, we can play a low game and be like, well, they could technically walk. Well, the other two could back up, so he's not as cautious, so he's just going to walk through. True, all true things. That's why you just have to be concerned of there could still be one on the flank. Like, we still got to be cautious of this. But this can also still work out because your trips on attack are great, but only once the plant is down, which then you really only need one. So that's why I don't think it's a horrible idea to put sensors on flank. Should you do this every single time, though? No. That's where deadlocks are, like deadlock players in low elo and whatnot are messing up. Stop playing her like she is Cypher or KJ or Chamber. She is not that character. You can do this every once in a while to throw them off. Like, let's say you're on Icebox. Icebox is a map that you will get flanked on a lot. You could throw a sensor in the back because most likely they're running because they know that you guys are, like, if you're going A, which is like the meta on Icebox, is just a run down A, they're going to know that they can run up behind you because no one's usually holding flank. But you could have your sensors on the doors so that when they run through, they go off. Cool. And another thing is that when they see Deadlock and you're playing on Icebox or Lotus or Ascent, they'll go, oh, she's never holding flank. I can just run through. And then the sensor's there and they're like, brother. Like, you know, and then they accidentally set it off. That's how I would use the sensor to hold flank. But again, do not do this every time. It becomes predictable. In fact, after you get it to work once, I wouldn't do it again. And that's what we see in this game is that I'm 90% sure they don't do this again. But I'm also 90% sure that the reason they're doing this is, and the reason it's on A is because they think that they're going to push up A because this is their weak buy. So they're going to play with all their utility and try and get kills with utility and stuff like that. So they want to try and catch them in the sensor. So I just wanted to go ahead and point that out real quick.
Able to shut it down. I think they've got an excellent idea of how.
So this time we got an overview of how the deadlock wall looks as it's going down. You'll see that normally it lands right here on this brick, but it's actually over here. So Sadek most likely threw it a little bit more to the right and a little bit high, a little bit lower, sorry, a little bit lower and to the right, and you'll see that it actually lands in a way better position to the point to where the wall comes, oh, just barely almost all the way to block this area off as well. It's not a big deal that it doesn't. Okay, so this is gonna happen really fast, so I'm gonna just kind of give my 2 cents on why I think this could have been a little bit better. You'll notice that Raze, Deadlock, and Fade are all stacked up on C, and they're going to push it. Tens has an op. And we know that when Tens has an op, he's going to get kills. Now, obviously, they don't know that Tens has an op. But how I would go about this is that since they are finally pushing C, which, if I recall, they haven't really done yet, they're just full-on committing into C. No util usage, no slowly going. They're just pushing in, the 3 of these people, without using util at all. You know, so, as you can see, we're coming up. And the Fade Eye is about to come in right there, but it doesn't really matter. Tens gets his pick on, unfortunately, the Deadlock. But this is where I'm going to give you guys something for your rank games. So if you guys haven't seen my other video where I talk about nade lineups, if you come into this corner and you sit over here, you'll notice this archway cut into the side of the wall. We're going to notice this kind of dark rectangle that goes up the wall. And you're just going to be looking in the bottom right corner. I'm actually just going to fly up to it and show you. It's this right here, where this other archway is with the elephant in it. You're going to be looking in this corner right here. So if we go back through the barrier, stand over here, look at that, end game phase. And then we jump through. It's going to bounce off the wall, and it's going to land. Normally, we don't have people like Tens who, you know, are walking out, smoking out, teleporting out, whatever, and getting all the way to the mound. Sometimes you do, but this nade will, I've used this nade plenty of times. It will land fast enough so long as it isn't a character like Omen. If it's a character like Reyna, Jet, anybody like that, it is going to catch them before they can get all the way out to mound. And also, if they're holding here with their up, it will catch them here, so Jet can't dash fully away. So she'll dash about half the distance, and then she can start pulling out, which by that time, you're usually able to catch up to her. Or, if you're cool, you have your ult, you can just, you know, bounce off this wall right here and catch her real quick. So yeah, again, I like throwing this nade. I've kind of stopped doing it as much because, you know, if you start doing it too much, they start to predict it. But yeah, so I think that's something that they could have done. Obviously, they were going more for the fade eye to stopping them, but I don't think they did it soon enough. Usually, they throw a fade eye up here. I don't know why they didn't do that, but yeah, that's my opinion on how they should have probably used the Deadlock utility, and it's one of the different ways that you can use Deadlock's utility. And I wouldn't count this as a Deadlock fumble. It's more, it's about being patient with the ult and realizing that I think once you activate it, you have ult for 12 or 14 seconds. So you'll see. So here's what, hold on. So here's what happens. Fade is going to ult. And then Raze is going to bank her nade off the back of this wall, and it's going to land here. It's going to kill Tens, but we're also going to Deadlock ult in the middle of all this. In fact, I think Deadlock is about to pop ult in a second here. And the idea is that you ult, they can't hear anything. You also get the decay, and the nade is going to push them out, but the ult is going to catch them. And unfortunately, that's not what ends up happening. And what I think they should do is once he saw that the nade killed it, he should have held the ult, because then he could have gotten the Viper here. We end up getting the kill on the Viper either way, so it doesn't matter. Again, it's one of those cherry picking scenarios, but again, let's go ahead and play it out and you'll see what I mean. So as you can see, the nade just blew up. Deadlock just now popped ult, and you'll see that the nade gets the kill. And just as the nade gets the kill, we shoot off the ult. Like we could have slowed down just a tiny bit. We weren't like John QT can't see us. We're safe. There's no reason to be shooting it this early. And then all you have to do is like push, you know, we don't even have bomb in this scenario. You know, just if you do have bomb, just give it to them, pull out your Vandal, go walk up somewhere, pull your ult out, and then shoot it at the last second. Again, one of those things that you just be a little bit more patient with it. Or you could use it as a post plant. I mean, hey, I have like 40 videos explaining all kinds of ult lineups. Come on, Loud. Come on. But it's still a really cool idea of using the ult, the nade, and then the other ults. I just think it's also a little bit, just a weensy bit overkill. So we're going to see the same thing here where clearly Static really likes throwing this nade, but we're also going to pair it with the Viper Molly because we're trying to deny their grabbing the orb here. Most likely because they think that KG is trying to go for it. As you can see, Zealous is one off. But again, it just shows how powerful throwing this net is. It's just something you don't want to do every single time. As previous rounds we've seen, Deadlock didn't throw. There were rounds that Deadlock didn't throw this nade. Which then you want to use the nade as kind of like an execute type of thing. So like if you're up here in tree, standing where Viper is, you can bank it off the wall and hit the backside. Or you can save it for post plants, and like you can be sitting deep in tree, bank it off this wall, and have it land in the same place to stop them from pushing into sight to defuse the bomb. So we're actually going to see Deadlock do this thing again where she is faking the site, and this just shows how powerful the wall is because we have 3 people sitting here, and we do also have Viper here who may be making noise as well, but we're going to break the door, throw our wall, so you can feel the pressure that's being created. Clearly they want to wall this to act like they're faking it, break the door to create pressure on B so they don't know if they're going to hit A or B, while we're walking up into the Viper smoke to try and get a quick pick on the Viper and then execute C. Again, this just shows how powerful when you use it properly that the wall can be used to fake a site. And on top of that, we accidentally ended up caging Zekin in, and Zekin can't break this wall or he's going to reveal that that he stares, which then he can get peeked from Static and Les here. But he's going to reveal that he's there, and then he's also, which is going to make it easy for him to get sprayed down. But he could, if let's say he doesn't get sprayed down, he's revealing that someone is here playing stairs. So you can see you can see the Fade and Deadlock playing on top of each other here. And I really think, let's say Raze isn't here. I really think it's to bait someone into, when they see them, they'll take their pop shots, then run away, and then they'll run in thinking that who's playing on top of their sensor. So I just think this is a really cool way to be playing with the sensor. All right, now we get to talk about the fun part, which is Deadlock on defense. And when I was watching this, the main thing I noticed is that they really like to stick Deadlock in B, and I don't entirely disagree with this. Deadlock is great on B. Very small site that allows her trips to go off easily, allows her to hit her net on a ton of people, allows her wall to cover a massive area and block off multiple parts. My main thing personally is that I prefer to play on C, because when you think about it, we can talk about stats, we can talk about whatever you want, but the main thing is that when you are playing Lotus in ranked, more than likely the attackers are going to go A or C. And yes, I know it's technically a 1 in 3 chance. There's no reason that they couldn't go B, but more than likely they go A or C, which are the sites that I prefer to play Deadlock on. I only really like playing on B when I have another Sentinel. And I mean like perma playing on B. Like I don't go anywhere else. I just play on B. I put all my stuff down there. That's when I have another Sentinel on my team, or I have a Jet that's going to hold with an op. That's when I will think about changing up my site. You can see here that we still haven't invested the Deadlock nade. We did just put the wall down, but that was just like a just in case. I'm sure they all know that they're for sure going C here, but it's not a bad idea to toss the wall down, because once you know that the team is going somewhere, your wall as like a retaking thing, it just doesn't work. The main reason is because, let's say you're trying to defuse the bomb and your teammate is trying to fight for you, but you threw your wall down in main. It actually helps the enemies out because we cannot reach them, so they can keep, peeking in and out and taking pop shots at you, while when your teammate isn't able to reach you. You'd have to throw the wall really deep to like actually block them out from not being able to see you, and getting that angle is just near impossible. That's why I prefer to just like Static did. He just threw the wall down. He was like, I'm just gonna throw it down here just in case they're faking up on us, so that way they can't go A without going through tree and making noise, so that way we know. So as we get further into the round, you'll notice that Static is sitting on C by himself. And because he knows that he's by himself, and the round is getting near the end, he might as well toss this wall down just in case they do come C, because all they know right now is that someone is on A, and they had a little bit of a fight on C. They just don't really know where everybody is for sure. Because as you can see, we have Les holding B, and then we have Fade and Raze holding A. And then Omen, because they just heard noise on A, Omen is now rotating over to go help. So Static will end up throwing the wall here to kind of help himself defend just in case, which ends up working out in the sense that he is able to hold him off for a little bit. Here's another example of leaving a site open with just the sound sensor on it, because again, they're playing with the idea that Deadlock is on the team. They know that yes, they can walk past this and they can be screwed by this, but they also know that they're most likely not going to push up through B here. So they put the sound sensor because, again, most people don't just walk through the site. Obviously if we're going A, and we do have someone lurk through B, that is a thing that can happen. But if they're gonna go B, which they can't go C, they can't execute on C, right, without someone noticing. They can't execute A without someone noticing. So if there's nothing, they know they're going B, and if their entire team is going B, they're going to execute onto the site, which means the sound sensor will go off. That's the thought process behind it. So should you put your sound sensor on a site and leave it completely by itself? No! And don't do it in mid either. Don't do that unless you have a plan behind it. Then that's when you can do stuff like that. And it doesn't hurt to throw the sound sensor here because he's going to be fighting A. So what's his sound sensor like? If he didn't put it down, it's just going to be sitting in his inventory for no reason. He doesn't have time to put it down. It would be better for him to hold his grab net out, because that's what's going to actually end up getting value. So we're going to see the same thing where they have a sensor on B, they have a sensor on C, and this is an odd sensor because when I use my sensors, I use them in a way of I want to swing off of them and get a kill, or they also provide information of where they are hitting on the site. And I guess that's kind of the point of this one. It's to know somebody's going back into this corner right here. But I just also feel like I would personally put it somewhere else. It could be because Les is playing up on this box here. So like if Raze like satchels out and then lands here in the corner, it'll stun them and help him get the kill. Like normally when I play on this map, I have a sensor like this to where the blue edge is riding the side of this box. So that way if Raze, you know, comes flying in here, you know, satcheling over and or like is trying to swing out this way and swing towards me in the back, it'll stun them and leave them out in the open. Because if we have a sensor like this, where Sadek was placing it, when Raze goes in this corner, we aren't able to gain value off of this sensor. But again, like I said, I think it's because they want Viper to play up here in this corner, and then when Raze comes flying in, they're able to shoot Raze when they're stunned. Or it's also just to know that, hey, someone is in this corner, like, you know, get ready for someone to swing you from this corner. Or it could just be used to slow them down. There's a lot of things that can go into it. So
It's great from the defense.
okay, we're about to get the wall down.
Gonna get committed. No chances here for Sentinels.
See, like,
They don't want to let it slip.
see, it backfired on him so bad because he needs to place it lower. It's too high up. I wonder if we can see the sensor on the wall.
And it's great from the defense that they've got.
Okay, it's right here. I know it's kind of hard. Yeah, you can see the blue glowing on it. So the reason why... Hold on, let me see if I can pause it. So he set it off all the way back here, but he goes over it and lands on top of the box. And then that's where, like, this becomes a problem because Sadek probably thought he was stunned, you know, so he needs to put it lower on the ground next time. So that way it still hits the people that are walking inside, but Raze can't accidentally set it off because, like for me personally, because in ranked you mainly get Jets that you're playing up against. Jets, one thing that screws me over is Jets will updraft and they'll go back into the site over here and land about right there. So what I like to do is I like placing a sensor here for when they land on site that covers the entire default. And let's say the Jet ends up not setting off. This is still a great sensor to play back here because when they swing over here, it's going to stun them right out in the open. That's what I always try to go for with a sensor. It has to set off with them out in the open because if they can just set it off on accident and hide from it, then it's not a good sensor. Like for this one, I used to put it like this, and what would end up happening is someone would get close on it on the wall, set it off, and then just run back. But if you put it all the way out here where they have to commit, or you can even pull it back just a tiny bit more, you know, they're committing out of the smoke or something like that, it'll set off with them out in the open. And also just another one, you can also put a sensor up here. This is a nice post plant sensor. They won't expect it to be on this wall, or you can use it to stop Jets from coming in. But one thing that we can see that's really strong is that this part of the wall is still up. So we fade dog, we're getting ready to nade. Okay, so nade's coming in, ult's coming in, Viper smoke's up. We get the wall down. And then you'll see Zekin flies up here. Zekin's able to get his kill on Deadlock here. Omen TP's in the site past the wall. And Les gets the kill on Tens here. Now, this is why the wall is really good. Look at John. He's backing all the way up because I think he realizes, hey, this is not going to work. But the other two are trying to support Raze as best they can, but they're also, I don't think they're breaking the wall here. And so Zekin is on the site by himself with two people, you know, here to fight him. They still haven't broken the wall. Still haven't broken the wall. Okay, I think they're breaking it now. Yeah, they're just trying to support him as best they can. But you see how much it's like, yeah, and Tui's is going to get his kill here. And now we have the bomb on site. This was a great Deadlock play. It just looks bad because she died, but this was a great Deadlock play. He was able to put the wall down at the perfect time, cutting off 2 people from 3 people, and now we have the bomb on site. This is how the wall, like, this is the strong part of the wall, because you can either use it to stop them completely or to cut their team in half.
Onto this one with the door open and wide. Grabnet connects. Sadak.
Oh, it's so unfortunate, man. This is one thing I kind of want them to buff with Deadlock, rebound time after you throw the nade. I feel the nade could, I know it's supposed to be more of like a supporting utility, but with how Deadlock is, I feel like you should be able to shoot off, like, here, let's watch this again. So he throws the nade, he's safe behind the wall. It takes that long for his gun to finally come back out. Like, it's just a little eensy weensy buff would be nice. Just like kind of like a more of a quality of life type of thing. Deadlock's playing A. We have this sensor, which is a great one. Again, stuns him out in the open, super good. And then he's gonna put a sensor on this part of the wall right here. Ooh, I like that a lot. That's such a good sensor. There's also a really good sensor where you can sit behind the tree here. You sit behind the tree here, and then you take your sensor and you put it on this wall. I can't remember who I was VOD reviewing and they did this, but this sensor is so fun to do. I did it in game once. So fun. You do it something like this, super good.
Excellent.
They ended up going around the Deadlock utility, but that's the thing, they don't know where Deadlock's playing, because that's the other good part. Deadlock's utility doesn't make a shit ton of noise, and the only way you can see it is by looking in the site, whether that be, you know, the wall, that's literally it, because the Deadlock nade is going to be, Deadlock's only going to use that if Deadlock knows that you are there. So the only thing that really gives away where Deadlock is the wall, and even then, you can only tell by like how recently the wall has been put down, because if it's slowly decaying, Deadlock could have left and came back by the time it's like about to die. That's another like good part about Deadlock, is because you have to be on top of the sensor to hear it doing its, like, it's not just being next to it, you have to be in the sound range for it to start doing, like, revealing itself. Not like KJ turret you can hear from literally the main and it being in the back of sight, and Cypher Trip you can be right next to it. Very crazy game from Loud. I actually didn't watch this game because I've been busy with work and a whole bunch of other stuff. The main key takeaways for the people of ranked in playing Deadlock is be more patient with your walls, don't throw it down immediately. With your nets, make sure that you are able to pull your gun out in time. Sonic sensors, be creative with them, don't put them in basic spots. You can put them on the flank, there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't do it all the time. You can use it to hold a sight, but that's kind of like, I wouldn't even do that, honestly. And with your ults, be patient, be very patient. Even this pro player who was pretty much shooting them the second he activated it, did not get one person with the ult. He didn't get one with the ult. So I think just be patient with the wall. Again, just be patient. Be patient with all of your utility. It does not need to go down immediately and be thrown away. And also with ults, ult lineups for post plant are great. But that's pretty much all I have to say about this video. One last thing I will say is, does Deadlock have a chance in pro play? I think she does. I think it just takes a team like Loud playing her on a map that in having it work out like this. It worked out, but they need to have a moment where Deadlock shines. Like the reason they won was because of Deadlock. Will we ever see that? I don't know. I'm not a big pro play. Like, I'm not like an analyst or anything like that. I don't know, but I really do hope to see Deadlock in pro play. I just don't know how well it's going to work out. But with all that, thank you guys for watching. For people wondering where streams have been, my internet issue is hopefully going to get fixed very soon, and we will be back. But with all that, make sure to go check out my Twitch for when I do come back. Leave a comment down below and a like if you could. And if you could drop a subscribe, it helps me so much. And thank you guys once again for helping me hit 1K. But again, with all that, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.